Hi, my name is Jason Jones. I'm the inventor of the AcuSpike Volleyball Training System. I've been playing volleyball off and on my whole life. My dad's been a coach since I was a little kid, and I used to go to tournaments with him and his teams all over the country. And so ever since I was very young, I've always had a fascination and a love for the game. I set out to make a training device that would allow me to go train by myself and work on my arm swing, work on my footwork, without having to try to call a setter and say, hey, come set 1,000 balls for me. The purpose of this video is to teach players the basics of arm swing, the basics of footwork, and how to do those things in the simplest way possible, and help you to understand the biomechanics and basically how your hips need to turn, how your shoulders need to turn, what position your arm needs to be in to hit the ball well, hit it in the right position onto the ball, whether you're trying to, put a top spin on it or, put a float out or something like that. Understanding the way that your body needs to move to hit the ball well and to develop good habits in arm swing. We're also going to work on footwork, taking each step and breaking it down in a way that's very simple to understand, very easy to duplicate. So you're going to watch me and you're going to watch Stephanie, who's going to be assisting me, in taking each step and saying, okay, when I take my first step, this is what my body should be doing. When I take my second step, this is what should be happening. And hopefully we're going to simplify that process to make it very easy to follow. This video is also going to be for coaches. If you're a coach out there and you've got beginner players, or if you're a professional coach and you're wanting to help your players to fine-tune their skills, this is going to be a simple video that allows you to follow the teaching style that I'm going to be showing you, and hopefully be able to take that beginner player and teach them how to do a volleyball approach, a volleyball arm swing and attack in a very simple, easy to understand way. Through the course of this video, we're going to be using the AcuSpike Training System. And so some of you may already have this system, others do not, but I'm going to give you a brief description of how this training machine works and how we're going to be using it in the training video. So to start with, a lot of misconceptions are, well, what happens if I miss the ball and I hit the blue part? Well, this is a soft foam and it's mounted on a fiberglass rod. So a direct hit to this pad isn't going to hurt the hand of the player. So that should quell any fears that the player may have about missing the ball and hitting the pad. So it doesn't hurt at all. It's designed to be hit. The next thing is the system is really easy to roll around and to move into different positions on the court. It's got dual locking casters, so there's a little locking lever here. You can just operate with your toe, unlock it, roll it into whatever position you want to on the court. Once you've got it lined up for your outside attack or your middle approach, lock the wheels back down. The other thing that we're going to talk about real quickly is how to adjust the machine. And this is very simple. You're going to crank it like that to go up. You stop wherever the height is appropriate for that player, for that skill that you're teaching. If you want to lower it down, simply turn the handle the other way and lower it down. And there's a couple of height indicators. On this side of the machine, we've got a height indicator that tells you the height to the top of the ball from the ground. So if you've got a player, let's say, that can vertically touch 9 feet, they should be able to attack a ball well at about 4 or 5 inches below that so that they can snap over the top of the ball and hit a good down ball. The other height indicators that we have on this machine are the bottom of the ball comparatively to the top of the women's net and the top of the men's net. So if I'm a player and I want to have some sort of indicator how high over the net am I hitting, or am I hitting over the block or into a block or something like that, we've got these height indicators here that will give you essentially the height of the ball over the net. Once you've got the machine in position, the function is very simple. You're going to put it up in a good height for whatever it is that you're going to train. Right now I'm going to do a standing arm swing just to demonstrate how the machine works. I'm going to do a swing. We're also utilizing the ball catcher. This is another tool that we make that will allow your training to be much more efficient. We've talked to so many coaches out there that when they're doing hitting practice and doing hitting drills, they spend 2/3 of their time running and chasing and shagging balls. So the ball cart is designed to stop a hard driven ball using this net system and drop it straight into a ball cart, which then allows you to just take a ball, reload it into the machine, and keep your hitting practice going without any breaks or pauses. So what we're going to do today is teach the basics of hitting and the basics of the volleyball attack. And that entails arm swing, footwork, and your jump, your explosion off the ground. And we're going to be using Stephanie and some of our demonstrations. And right now we're going to start with standing arm swing. So coaches, you're going to want to have your players stand next to the machine and reach your hand as high as you can in the air. Now reach higher. So that action is what we're looking for when they snap on top of the ball. We're looking for this shoulder to be above this shoulder. And that's going to allow me to set the height of the machine. So go ahead and reach up. Go ahead and walk under the machine. Reach as high as you can. And I'm going to set this system at a height that's going to allow her to snap over the top of the ball if she reaches as high as she can reach. And the reason that we're standing this close to the net is I'm using the net as an obstacle. I want the ball to go under the net, and that way I know, and she's got a visual reference of, did I snap over the top of the ball or did I hit the ball flat? So go ahead and get your feet into a hitting position. So it's going to be your right-handed. Okay, so left foot out front, your right foot's back. You're going to reach up with your left hand and frame the ball. You want to get close enough that when you contact the ball is just in front of you. So, yep, like that. And now reach up and I want you to just take a swing. Go ahead. All right, that's good. So, take one more. Great. So right now, good job. Right now, Stephanie is hitting flat. So she's hitting on the back of the ball instead of the top of the ball. So we're going to make a little adjustment. We're going to get a little bit closer to where the ball is just in front of her head. And I want you to visualize when you hit this ball, visualize hitting your palm on the top of this ball and then hitting it under the net. So really reaching up as high as you can, getting that shoulder up in the air, and putting your hand on the top of this ball. Try again. Very good. One more time like that. Great. Now, the next thing that we're going to talk about is hip rotation and shoulder rotation. So in order to put power on the ball when you hit, you've got your left foot is out front, and that hip, your shoulders are going to be open to the ball. You're going to turn this hip, that's going to bring this shoulder around so that you can, like a pivot point, turn and snap down on top of the ball.
Okay.
Right? Go ahead. Great. Very good. One more. Great. Now we're going to describe the mechanics of the arm swing and how your body should be moving in order to create clean contact on the ball and generate power while preventing injury. So the most common concept to be able to convey what your arm should be doing is imagine a bow and arrow. So you're holding your bow with this arm, and you're going to draw back your arrow with this arm. So we're going to take our bow, we're going to draw back. I'm going to do that motion a couple of times. And if you'll notice, while I'm drawing back, my hand is coming across my face so that the back of my hand is towards my ear. Now, the next step from there is all about rotational movement. So power on the volleyball doesn't come from arm strength. It comes from rotation. It comes from hip turn, and it comes from shoulder rotation. So you'll notice when you're rotating your body around, your heel is going to come off the ground. That's how I know that my hips are turning in the right way, because if I turn my hips, this heel is naturally going to come up. So I've got my bow and arrow. My guide arm is going to come in and tuck to my body. My hips are going to turn, the heel is going to come up, and that hip turn is going to naturally bring my shoulder around into a hitting position. Okay? So let's do that to that point a couple of times, and I want it to look like this. We're going to start bow and arrow, draw back, turn, and pause right there. Arm extended, heels off the ground, left arm is tucked. That's our move. So we're going to go bow and arrow here. Same thing, draw back here. So what's going to happen with this hand, she's in this position, back of the hand towards the ear, and once she starts that rotation, her elbow and her hand are going to trade places. And we're going to act like there's a spring back here that allows her hand to just kind of pop off that spring and move forward. So she's going to go back here and up. So go ahead and pull that arm in like that and up. So we've got this transfer, hand and elbow, like that. Okay? So we want that move to be very fluid. When we contact, right. So let's go through that whole thing and then pause right at the top and hold what you got. Okay, so we're here, draw back, rotate, up here. One more time. All right, ready? Draw back, turn up. Now what we should see is we're tucked in here, Our hip and shoulder are facing forward. We've got full arm extension here, and the heel's off the ground. So that motion, the finish is going to be whatever's comfortable. So she's going to swing through and just let that arm go wherever it's going, right? We don't want to try to force our arm to go back in any particular direction. We want to swing, depending on the shot. If it's a cross body shot, your arm is going to come across your body and finish that direction. All right, now we're going to go over the basics of footwork. We're going to be teaching a 3-step approach. Some of you out there may do a 4-step approach, but your last 3 steps are all going to be the same. So what I like to do is I like to demonstrate side by side with my player so that they can mimic what I'm doing and follow my posture. Makes it much easier for the player to really wrap their head around it rather than just telling them this is how I want you to do it. It's better to show them and let them follow along. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to get all of our body parts coordinated. So arm swing is just as important as footwork when you're talking about generating the energy that it takes to jump off the ground and hit a ball well. So our 3-step approach in just feet, we're going to get the arms going in just a little bit, is going to be left foot. And this is really important. This is where a lot of your power, a lot of your acceleration happens. So step back. We need to make sure that you understand that when you take that left step, that all of your weight is over that left leg. You could lift your right leg off the ground and you're not moving. So all of my weight is on that left leg, because what that's going to allow me to do is it's going to allow me to launch off of that leg into my step close. So we're just going to walk through that a couple of times. We're going to take that left step first and pause, and then we're going to push off into the right left. So left foot, pause, right left. Now notice that Stephanie turned her feet and kind of, had her arms going back. We're going to get into arm swing in a moment, but that's exactly right. So we want to make sure that we're getting ourselves into that hitting posture that we talked about earlier when we were doing our standing arm swing. Our feet are in a good hitting position so that when we leave the ground, we've got an ability to turn our hips. Our shoulders are open to the ball. That hip's going to turn, shoulder's going to turn to pull that arm around. So let's walk through that again. We're going to go left, pause, and then accelerate, right, left. Okay? So left, and then right, left, exactly right. Let's try that one more time. It's always important to do these basics several times in a row. Make sure that you have the cadence down in your head. Make sure that you understand this portion of the training before moving on to the next thing. Remember, mental reps and physical reps. So think about what we're doing first. We're going to go left and then spring off right, left, and then we're going to do it physically. Ready? So left, right, left, exactly right. And we're finishing with our feet turned so that our body's open to the ball, and it gives us the ability to turn and rotate and hit the ball with a good arm swing. Okay? So now we need to add arm swing. Our arms, and this is a good demonstration. If I'm standing flat-footed with my legs locked, and I want to lift myself off the ground with just my arms, if I try hard enough, I can actually pick my body up off the ground by just simply swinging my arms. Now, that doesn't seem like a lot, but those couple of inches that I lifted myself off the ground will be added to my vertical as I'm jumping. If I'm using my arms to gain momentum off the ground, I'm throwing my body off the ground with everything that I have. So arm swing is really, really important in vertical, as well as getting my arms into the right position to hit the ball. So the easiest way to coordinate getting my arms and my feet in sync is when I take that first step left, my arms are going to go out. So when I go to approach the ball, I'm going to step left, arms are going to go out in front of me like this. Remember, all my weight's on that left foot, and now I'm ready to take my right, left, step close, and as I push off of this left foot, my arms are going to swing back so that when I jump I can swing up. So I'm on my left. Let's go ahead and start from there. And here's what it's going to look like. I'm going to do it and then you're going to follow me. So I'm on my left foot. I'm going to swing out like that. So yeah, we'll pause right there. Another really key factor here is making sure that we're loading our legs. You want to put a good bend in your knee. You want to keep your head up, looking at the ball. You don't want to look at the ground and lose sight of the ball, but you want to bend your knees and give yourself a coiled spring so that you can explode off the ground. So let's try that one more time. We're going to step left and arms are going to go out. And then we're going to step close, arms are back. Knees are bent, heads up looking at the ball, and that's going to allow us to jump off the ground. So let's do that a couple more times. Remember, we're going to visualize it first and then execute it physically. So we're going to go step left, arms out, and then accelerate or spring forward, and the arm swing is going to go back. Knees are going to be bent, heads up looking at the ball. Ready? Okay. Like that. Right? Let's do that a couple more times. Think about what we're doing first. Left, arms out, spring forward, arms swing back. We're going to pause in that position, head up, knees bent. A coiled spring ready to launch off the ground. Okay? Ready? Exactly. Okay. So the next step from here, obviously, is going to be jumping. So we've created all this energy, we're accelerating to the ball, and now we have this coiled spring, we want to leap off the ground. So I'm going to demonstrate it, and then we're going to do it together. So first, step left, arms go out, and then I'm going to spring forward, arms go back, head is up, tracking the ball, and I'm going to swing my arms up and jump off the ground straight up. So in fluid, that's going to look like this. Okay? So let's do that together. Remember, think about it first and then do it. So we're going to, again, slowly pausing, making notes of each of these steps as we go. Ready? So left is arms out, and then spring forward and up. Okay. Yeah, that part's going to be full speed. All right. Let's do that again. So left. Exactly right. Let's do that one more time. Really allow yourself to get the feel for this move. Ready? Exactly. So we've got the steps. We've got left step first, arms come out, and then I'm going to spring forward while my arms go back. I'm going to roll my feet. This is another really key factor. As I accelerate and push off, I'm on my left, my arms go back, and as I leap out, I'm going to roll my feet heel to toe, which is going to allow me to transfer all of that forward energy into vertical lift. So as I'm going, I'm here, and my feet roll into the ground so that I can swing my arms and leap off the ground. So now I want to do all of that in one fluid move. We're going to go medium speed, but no pauses. Everything's going to be seamless. So we're going to think about each of those steps, making sure that our arms are swinging the way that they should, making sure that our feet are rolling heel to toe, snapping the toes off the ground. Okay? Ready? Here we go. All right. Let's do that again. Same thing, visualize what we're going to do, and then do it. Ready? All right. We're going to want to now add the arm swing after our jump. So we want to make sure that when you go from this posture, that it's very important, coaches or players, if you have a tendency or you see a player having a tendency to kind of swing their arms out instead of straight down with palms to the ceiling and back up, this is not going to help generate any lift. When the arms swing down and back up, that's what's going to help lift yourself off the ground. So if their tendency is to swing their arms wide, stop that and try to retrain that to where you've got good arm swing, straight down, straight up, and that allows you to get into your hitting position, pulling your bow and arrow, your shoulders are open to the ball, your hips are open to the ball, and you're going to turn, create that pivot, and be able to strike the ball. So let's do that whole process. We're going to go medium speed again. We're going to swing, and then when you land, I want to stop. So hold position wherever you land. We want to stop right there, and we're going to talk about that. So remember, visualize it first, get an idea over your head what you want to do, and then do it. We ready? So, all right. So notice that my feet are aimed that way, and Stephanie is still aimed this way. So one of the things that we really want to focus on is when you turn and those hips pull in the air and it pulls that shoulder around, that it's going to turn your body, and your body is naturally going to pivot and turn and end up facing sort of the opposite direction, not completely turned around necessarily, but you're going to be facing away from where you struck the ball. So you're going to go up from here, and because of that rotation, because you're turning your body to react onto the ball, it's going to naturally make you land the other direction. Okay, so let's try that again. And remember, with our arm swing, we're generating our rotation, starting with that arm and pulling the hips around. That's going to pull the shoulder around and swing through, and your feet should just naturally kind of drift around and land the opposite way. So let's try that again. Remember, visualize it first and then go. Ready? Very good. Now, let's do that again. Here we go. All right, good. I'm going to let Stephanie do it a couple more times, and I'm just going to watch and look and see if there's any little adjustments that we need to make. Great. Remember, bring that arm in and tuck, and that's going to create that momentum as you turn. Great. One more time. Good job. All right, now we're going to bring the AcuSpike in and put all of those things to practice on a live ball. All right, so we've talked about arm swing, footwork, the approach on the ball, and vertical, jumping off the ground, putting all of those steps together in one fluid move to attack the ball over the net and do that effectively. So now we're going to back up a little bit, and we're going to talk about training your younger players and players that are beginners, aren't necessarily tall enough to hit the ball over the net. So we've set up the trainer, the AcuSpike trainer and catcher off the net, and we're going to do some basic warm-up swings, and I want to talk about that a little bit more specifically. When you're starting out with any type of training, you want to make sure to give yourself plenty of time to warm up and allow your body to get acclimated to the moves that you're going to be doing. So you don't want to just go right out of the gate cold and try to jump and hit your maximum height that you've ever hit. You want to start off at a height that you can hit very easily with not a lot of effort. So you want to go and take some swings, warm yourself up, make sure that your legs are warm, make sure that your arm and your shoulders warm, and then gradually over time, as that training session moves, you want to raise it over time, raise that level incrementally to allow yourself the chance to warm up and really get to your peak potential. One of the things that I want to talk about when we're developing players in improving their skill and working on getting stronger, jumping higher, and hitting the ball harder is you want to challenge them the right amount. Putting a ball into a position that is too challenging is going to lower confidence because they're going to try to hit this ball well, and it's going to be beyond their reach. So go ahead and take a nice, relaxed, probably slow to medium pace. There you go. Great. It's good. Keep going. All right, we're going to raise it up just a little bit. As the body warms up, we're going to challenge ourselves just a little bit more each time. Okay. Okay. Now, you'll notice that I'm taking note of the height indicator on the side of the machine. So I want to know where the machine is set. I want to convey that information to Stephanie so that she can track her progress and I can track her progress, not just in this training session, but over time. When we come back tomorrow or we come back next week, we can say, okay, Last week we were hitting at 103 inches to the top of the ball. Let's see if we can challenge ourselves to hit a little bit higher. So right now I'm going to raise it up. We're going to be at 106 now. So go ahead and take your approach. Great. I'm going to go ahead and raise our catcher up just a little bit. All right, go ahead and take another swing. That's great. All right, remember, we're going to try to reach as high as you can, snap on top of the ball, try to hit that ball down. Great. So she's still getting on top of the ball, still able to hit the ball down. We're going to go up to 108, which is 9 feet. So the harder this gets, the more challenging it gets. You're going to have to really accelerate, use those arms to throw yourself off the ground, make sure that you're getting that full shoulder tilt, reaching as high as you can, and put your hand on top of the ball. Go ahead. Great. One more just like that. All right, still doing a good job. You're going to keep challenging. Now it's going to be important, the higher we go, the more Stephanie's going to have to concentrate on making sure that she's accelerating to the ball, making sure she's using her arms to generate lift, making sure that she's rotating and reaching as high as she can. Okay? All right. So what we're noticing now is I've set this ball up that's right at the edge of Stephanie's reach. The ball is starting to go a little more flat, a little more straight out with less downward trajectory. So do your best to try to get on top of the ball and hit the ball straight down. Great. So you overran the ball? That's great. So that's one of the things that as players, especially coaches, you want this kind of feedback from the player. You want them to be able to identify when a mistake was made, and so that they can start correcting those issues on their own. All right, so you overran the ball that time. Try and correct that on this one. Very good. All right, now I'm going to raise it up just a little bit more. Now I'm going to guess that we're getting just past the edge of Stephanie's reach. This is a pretty high ball, so do everything that you can do to try to hit this as best you can. Okay? All right. So, exactly what we're talking about. The ball was too high, so instead of doing her standard approach and going up and doing all of the things that we discussed, she went up and kind of gave it a tip motion. So this is what I would say is too challenging. It wasn't a good rep for teaching acceleration, for teaching you know, the most power that she can generate out of her vertical. So we're going to lower it back down. This is a hittable ball most of the time, as long as she's doing everything right. Occasionally, there's going to be some mistakes, but I want her to be able to identify what those mistakes were and then make those corrections. So go ahead and hit a couple. Great. Remember, get that left arm up. When you swing those arms, the left one is going to go up, and then pull it in and rotate. Great job. So far, we've discussed all the basics of your hitting approach: arm swing, footwork, and vertical attack on the ball. We've done that on the net and off the net. And now we need to apply that to a real game-like scenario. So we're going to take advantage of the versatility of this machine and being able to move it around in various positions on the court. We're going to do some different drills that involve hitting from the different attacking positions on the court. So let's get started. Now we're going to talk about outside hitting. And from the outside hitting position, there are basically 3 different shots that you can take in this approach. Essentially, all of them are going to start just off the court, just past the 10-foot line. You can take a line shot, you can hit a deep angle, and you can hit a sharp angle. To start with, we're going to be hitting down the line. And down the line is, in some ways, more difficult of a shot to make. It's the most athletic shot that you have to make because you've got to be able to take this essentially angular approach to the ball and be able to jump high enough that you're giving yourself time to rotate in the air and then turn and hit the ball in an opposite direction from the way your body was moving. It's also difficult in that there's a much smaller margin for error. Hitting the deep angle, you essentially have the whole court to be able to hit the ball down. But hitting down the line, you have a lot less margin for error. So Stephanie's going to take some line approaches, and we're going to let her show us how it's done. Great job. All right, remember, one of the things that we want to focus on here is making corrections. So if you hit the ball out, then you need to work on adjusting yourself in rotation and knowing where your body is in position for where you contact the ball. So if you're rotating around quickly, then you need to make that adjustment in the air with how you contact the ball. Nice. Nice. All right, we repositioned the AcuSpike to hit the deep angle or cross-court shot. And what we're talking about is setting the system up, and this is where the hitter is going to approach and hit in the same direction. So this shot gives the hitter the most options. You've got the broadest angle of approach to be able to hit anywhere onto the court. So depending on the set, depending on the read of the defense, she may choose to hit the deepest corner. She may choose to try to put the ball straight down in the middle of the court. There's a lot of options with this particular shot. So Stephanie's going to demonstrate that. We've got the ball set off the net just a little bit. She's going to take her approach. We may need to adjust the height up or down, but we'll see how it goes. So go ahead, Steph. I'm going to go ahead and raise this up just a little bit. Go ahead. That's great. I want you to kind of mix up your shots a little bit. I want you to try to hit deep, and then on a couple, I want you to try to hit a good sharp, shallow shot. That's great. Okay. Great. Remember, swing those arms, create all that vertical that you can get out of your arm swing. Very nice. One more good shot, just like that. Very good. All right. Next, we're going to set this up for a hard angle or hard cut shot. So we're going to move the AcuSpike and actually reposition it on the opposite side of the net, reaching it out to where the ball is hanging over the net. All right, Now we've got the machine set up for a hard angle or sharp angle, basically a cut shot. So similarly to hitting down the line, this shot is a little bit more difficult because it's changing your hitting direction from your approach angle. So Stephanie's going to approach from her typical position, which is just off the court, right behind the 10-foot line. But as she comes up to approach, she's going to have to turn in the air and try to hit this sharper angle than the approach that she's taking. So again, this involves a lot more control in the air, and it involves making sure that her arm swing technique is right on so that she can turn and make an adjustment on the ball to hit the shot that she's wanting to hit. So I'm going to let her go ahead and demonstrate. Very good. Yep, go ahead. That's great. Yep, go ahead. That's great. Now, one thing that you guys will notice on this particular shot, where it's really important when you're going up with that lead arm to pull it into your body and tuck. So go ahead. Very good. All right, a couple more good ones just like that. All right, notice she's turning and she's hitting the ball away from her body. Very nice, good job. The next shot that we're going to talk about is back row attack. And essentially, it's when one of your back row players is going to get a set that they have to approach and attack and leave the ground behind the 10-foot line. This is a really effective tool when you've got some great athletes that are playing all the way around. And so when you've got your really effective front row hitters playing and passing on the back row, you're going to want to still keep them involved in your attack game. So a great way to learn the differences between attacking the ball from the back row compared to attacking the ball from the outside or the middle is setting this machine up and giving them a ball that isn't changing. There's no variable here, so it allows the player to make their adjustments and make that change, because this is a very different approach and a very different style of hit than your outside hit or your middle or opposite side. So one of the very main differences in your back row attack is this is more of a broad jump, meaning when you do that transfer of energy, you still want to gain as much vertical as you can, but you also want to have some forward momentum. You want to carry your body over that 10-foot line and be able to put some energy on the ball moving forward because you're attacking so far off the net. So Stephanie's going to demonstrate this a couple of times. One of the things that you can do to create a little bit more forward energy is take a much longer approach than you normally would. So they're going to come from almost the end of the court, and they're going to take a really accelerated running approach. And the goal here is to get their feet planted just in front of that 10-foot line. So that's one of the biggest challenges, is court awareness, knowing where you are on the court so that you get your last two step close right there as close to that 10-foot line without obviously going over and getting a violation. So right now we've got the ball set up about 2.5 or 3 feet beyond the 10-foot line. So Stephanie's going to have to broad jump just a little bit to get into this ball. And then also the trajectory of the ball is going to be much different than it is when you're hitting at the net. You want to hit this ball more flat or deeper onto the court so that you can still put the power on the ball, but it's still got to be able to clear the net. So We're going to let her demonstrate a couple of times, get a good, nice, long running approach lane, try to be aware of where you are on the court, and see if we can't get this ball to hit it. That's great. So this shot is tricky because the angle of the ball, the flight path of the ball, gives you a little bit narrower of a court. Obviously, you're not going to be able to hit this ball straight down in front of the 10-foot line on the other side. So you're actually shortening your shot area. So angle on the ball and hand placement on the ball is going to be very, very important here. Go ahead. Nice, big, long, explosive, accelerated approach. That's great. Nice shot. For this exercise, this is going to be set up for a middle hitter to take a hard angle shot. This would be for a quick set to hit the 2 position. This is one of my favorite drills as a middle hitter because typically the setter on the opposite team is hanging out in that 2 position zone. So my goal is to always try to take the setter out of the play if I can't just kill the ball. So if you'll notice, we've got the AcuSpike set up on the opposite side of the net. We're reaching the ball out, and if you'll notice that the angle, the way that the ball grips are set up, is going to force Stephanie to take that cut shot. So what she's going to do is she's going to take a couple of quick approaches out of the middle, and she's going to turn and try to hit that ball into that 2 position. So you'll also notice that when you're training your middles, their approach lane is much shorter because they've got to be aware of all the other players on the court. So they essentially have only this 10 feet to approach from. So she's going to be taking short, explosive steps. Her arm swing is going to be very tight and very compact to try to generate as much energy as she can between the 10-foot line and her launch point to be able to turn all of that energy into vertical and then turn and cut that ball into the 2 position. So I'm going to turn her loose. Again, I'm going to watch what she's doing. I'm going to make small adjustments in her footwork and her arm swing and try to improve on this skill. All right, whenever you're ready. Great. Take a little bit more direct approach on the ball. That way you can turn and cut the ball across your body. Great. Nice, very good. Remember, hitting out of the middle, you want to get to this position and you really want to go straight up with the ball so that you can turn in the air and land and not get into the net, not have a net violation. So you really want to plant and explode off the ground and jump straight up. Go ahead. Very nice. Go ahead. Great. On these last 2, one of the things that I want to do is I want to throw in some transitional footwork. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have Stephanie come right here up to the net, and I'm going to have her take a good side step hop, press to block, and then back up into this position, transition off the net, and then go and attack that ball. So I'm going to show you how that looks. You'll back up for a second, and then you'll repeat what I do. So I'm going to go from here, press, I'm going to transition off, and then I'm going to go and I'm going to turn and hit. So what we're working on now is adding that blocking aspect to our middle attacker. So for these last 2, side step press, transition off, and then immediately reset your feet and go to that ball. Ready? Go. Great. Very good. All right, think about it, see it in your mind first, and then do that again. Ready? Go. Great job. All right. In this video, we've covered the basics of arm swing, footwork, approach, and hitting. We've showed you various configurations of how to use your AcuSpike in game-like scenarios and different ways you can use it on the court to train. Thank you for taking the time to watch our AcuSpike training video. We thank you for watching, and we would love to hear your feedback. After you watch this video, if you have some success or if you have some comments for us and how we can improve and how we can do things better to help not only improve ourselves as a company, but overall improve the game and improve player performance. Please feel free to share that information with us. You can email us directly from the website. It's AcuSpike.com. We would love to hear what you have to say. And again, as a company, our goal is to help all players of all levels jump higher, hit harder, and train smarter. Thank you.